All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball here for the Week 17 Sunday chat. I see up bright and early, a little earlier than we're probably usually do, but give me more time to get this out. So, obviously, I already have a really good slate of games that already got started. I know Christian will have definitely a lot to talk about for that one, but that will be until the next video. Let's get started with some news.
Yeah, so obviously, starting off, obviously to everyone else, happy New Year's Eve. Honestly, it's the final day before the New Year, so obviously, let's get it going with this. Let's get it going with what we have right now. So obviously, starting off with one of the big news is obviously we know what the Broncos situation with the Russell Wilson, him getting benched. Obviously now, news came out with the Broncos that if they want to sign some free agents, they're probably gonna have to overpay, especially with this whole Russell Wilson situation, with all the money, the guaranteed, and all everything that's going on. I see this as a shot in the foot for this Broncos organization because then going to Russ to talk about this whole thing with the contract, him taking out his injury guarantee from his contract, that's kind of the thing that screwed everything up. So instead of just offering some lousy contracts to help bolster their team, they're gonna have to pay a buttload of money just for them to keep key players for both sides of the ball.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, you could see this coming if they're gonna, try to, hold over their players. I mean, no one's gonna actually want to go into that organization. This shed a lot of light on what kind of organization the Broncos are running, and obviously they're gonna have to struggle for the next couple of years until something ends up happening. Of course, keeping in, with the front office type stuff, we know John Harbaugh has been linked. I mean, every year it seems like he's been linked to a new head coaching job, and as we can see, the Chargers have been kind of putting out some feelers, seeing how much interest there would be from Jim Harbaugh. I believe I said John. Don't you remember? But I mean, look, in all honesty, it kind of seems like every year it's just been the same thing that he kind of he flirts with the NFL, but then just does that to get a little more of a lucrative contract with Michigan. So I think the college football playoff will tell us a lot, which obviously that will be tomorrow. I mean, if we're gonna just throw out a quick prediction, I'll probably got Michigan losing against Bama the way Bama been looking. So I'll probably say Bama Texas for a national championship just to get that out there. But I really don't expect him to take an NFL job, especially if he can't get the job done yet in Michigan, or maybe they get tired of waiting and they move on from him. But I don't expect the Chargers to be. I mean, as much as I'm not a fan of it, and I've been an adamant that I'm not a fan of it, I think Belichick would be a little better than Harbaugh just in this regard.
Yeah, obviously, with Jim Harbaugh, these past, couple of years, he's always had this little scuffles with the NFL of him returning, but like, how he said that he's never going to coach in the NFL. Who knows? It could, turn around, but, realistically, probably just publicity, but there's always still a chance, let alone, with Herbert at quarterback, could be a possible, head coach quarterback deadly duo if that was the possible case to come. And now moving on to a team, we talked about early, past in the past video for Bean Talk, the Bears, they're probably leaning into choosing a quarterback in this draft. Obviously, I know me and you, we both, came to, I guess, a consensus where, the Bears should probably stick with Fields, just, for the way he's playing these past couple games, playing for his job and just build around him. I know that, I like Alvin Harrison Jr., who's, probably going to be the first receiver taken off. That's most likely going to go to the Bears. That's where everyone's projected for him to go. And, with him at the 2, and then obviously DJ Moore at the 1, it's going to be a lot of help for Justin Fields because obviously me and you, we've had our little shits and giggles about Justin Fields not being able to throw the ball and this and that, not being a good quarterback. But I mean, he's starting to show a little bit of glimpses here and there. These past couple of games, sure, the Bears have nothing to lose. Doesn't matter. He's fighting for his job as the quarterback for the starting roster. But like I said, probably best to build around Justin Fields. So leaning more towards a quarterback in the draft is probably not the way to go for this Bears organization.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, just in the last video, we came to consensus. We were talking about this specifically, and it's surprising to see the Bears, still leaning this way. Kind of like what I said. They should probably let him play out his rookie contract. I know there's a lot of, really good QB prospects, but kind of just seems like they're going to be going in the wrong direction if they end up going quarterback. Of course, keeping it with the Bears, we know, kind of a bit of a dysfunction that we kind of just been the narrative here, and I think talking about their head coach, I've been adamant as well that I'm not really a big fan of Matt Eberflus. He doesn't really seem to be that good of a that great of a mind. I think something that we can talk about. He did well as a coordinator, but he really doesn't seem to fit as a coach. And Unfortunately, the Bears seem to be keeping him going into the 2024 season. They're going to give him another shot to keep going. I think these 2 years that he's had have probably been more than enough to show you he really hasn't been the guy for the job. But at the end of the day, maybe with whoever they get in this top pick can actually help them, maybe help Matt Eberflus. Maybe the culture starts to set in. I guess, that is another thing, maybe it takes him some time. We've seen coaches need more time little by little to set a better culture, but that's just my take. I'm not a fan of Eberflus, and this does seem like a bonehead move, considering there are some pretty good head coaching candidates out this season.
Yeah, honestly, we really haven't talked about this much, during the season, with Eberflus, but obviously he's probably, I wouldn't speak for all Bears fans, but I would say for the majority of for the fan base, they don't like Eberflus, and guess you can say he's kind of the reason why I guess the Bears can kind of be dysfunctional this season, even though the Bears have been dysfunctional for a while. But obviously keeping Eberflus, it's gonna be a big stretch here, and we'll see if just if he's getting more development under him. And obviously closing it out with the newest space staying on the quarterback situation in the AFC side, which is another big game for playoffs, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, he was ruled out a couple of days ago, and I believe CJ Beathard, if I'm not mistaken, that is going to get the start. So CJ Beathard is going to get the start. And, the Jags, they have been on a steady decline for the past couple of weeks. I mean, they've been on a losing streak. I think they were on top of the AFC South for, I believe they were 8-3. Now they're, what, 8-7?
They still are just a three-way tie.
Yeah, they still are. It's 8-7, three-way tie between the Colts and the Texans. So, this game is very wide open for the upcoming matchup. So it's going to be very crucial to see if CJ Beathard can keep it in the race for that division, or, if the Jags had a pretty big downfall towards the end of the season. Obviously a lot of really mad fantasy owners probably gonna hurt them. I know didn't really hurt as me. I have him at my bench for that. Little fantasy there. So who knows championship wise? But obviously this is a big blow for this Jacksonville Jaguars team, and obviously they've that decline with the momentum they're going into this game. Kind of count the odds in, but who knows if CJ Beathard can pull up a masterclass here.
Yeah, knowing your luck, Beathard's probably going to throw for 300 and get Ridley another 40. Probably throw it because you in the third place game. It's something that means a little bit to you. I feel I'm in the seventh place game. We'll see how that works. But keeping it. I guess it's the same theme. Not Waddle, but someone I'm going to get into right now. Jalen Waddle is out. We know he had a high ankle sprain, so that's going to be huge for the Dolphins in this game against the Ravens, which this is probably the game for the number one seed. The Ravens still hold the Ravens are still in full control of the one seed. They control their destiny, but losing this game, a win for the Dolphins here really helps them, and it puts them on the map. Obviously coming off that win against the Cowboys, beating the Ravens would be huge, but they're going to be without their second best receiver, and news did just come out they will also be without Raheem Mostert, which for me, like I just said, I'm in that seventh place game. Doesn't really mean much, but I'd like to end on a high note. So gonna be rough without my top running back, but more importantly, it's gonna be really rough for the Dolphins offense. We're gonna get to see another test for Tua. He still has Tyreek, still a little hampered up, sure, but this is gonna show out a little more for Tua's capabilities. Now, of course, moving that into cash or trash. Last week we had tight ends, and Christian, you got a clean sweep for, I believe, the first time. I think you did that a couple weeks ago, but
it's been a while. Yeah.
So you do go into a 2-point lead going into 2 weeks to go. Now, obviously, we go back to quarterback this week. I believe it's the fourth or fifth time around. So we still got some great quarterbacks up here right now. So I'll start it off here, and quarterback that I'm gonna be rolling with, someone that we always talk about, very near and dear to us. I'm going with Baker Mayfield against, it's always been known as a pretty sneaky good Saints defense, but we saw what the Rams did to him. Sure, made it a close game, but that was nothing for the defense. So we see the trajectory Baker's been going on the past couple games. Ever since that Packers game, he's really put himself on that. I'm definitely having probably his best season to date, and I mean, sure, we can always think, when's that drop off coming? We've always seen, he's such a streaky player, he goes up and down, but I definitely don't think it's gonna happen against the Saints. I mean, I think I believe a win here locks up the division. So I think Baker's just gonna put the team on his back and have a phenomenal game. And for Trash, I think probably it's another easy call considering his game last week, Aiden O'Connell. I mean, he's going against, I guess you can say, a pretty sneaky good Colts defense. And I mean, a guy who had 0 passing yards in the last 3 quarters of last week's game. I guess you could see an easy pick here.
Yeah, obviously you probably roll away with that one with Baker. That's probably gonna hit me there. But yeah, like you said, he's on a great trajectory right now. So I don't really expect a big, huge fall off from him. So obviously moving with mine for my cash pick, I'm going with Kyler Murray. I was kind of a little thing on this, but you kind of opened my eyes on this. I mean, he's playing Philly, and then that defense, that secondary, and that defense alone. It's possible that Kyler Murray can get some, I wouldn't say garbage time points, but probably keep it in the game. I would really expect hopefully a big game from Kyler. It would really help. Especially with my Cowboys with the division. Philly just needs to lose one more, so that would be a really, really huge help for us.
We saw that Giants game.
Yeah, that Giants game, that's always a possibility. But Kyler, for the way I've been rolling with Kyler since he was drafted, really hope so. But yeah, I really expect pretty decent game for him, especially just against that secondary. I would expect a lot of movement on the ground, especially with that very dangerous pass rush of the Philadelphia Eagles. And then for my trash pick, I'm gonna go with Taylor Heineke. He is kind of, I guess, somewhat, he's kind of leading the Falcons there for that division, get him into the playoffs there, but I just don't see him, putting up too much, to kind of get into there. Sure, he has Drake London. I feel if he gets in the ball, it could be, a little less pressure off Heineke, maybe even for Kyle Pitts, but, for just the way, the Falcons are doing, and it come this time, more little pressure on them. Kind of see like slight little fall off for Heineke. Maybe, he'll get a couple garbage here and there, but I still got him for the trash, and I'm not really going to put up much for this Falcons team.
Yeah, I could definitely see both of those there. Obviously, I mean, I gave you that for Kyler. I definitely expect him to torch that Eagles secondary. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty close matchup for us in this game. Well, in this week of games. Now, of course, we're going to close this off. I mean, we've been, switching things around on our Sunday chat. And, like you said, it's New Year's Eve. And, what better way to close out, our final video of 2023 with some New Year's resolutions for our team. So, I mean, we can do, for our teams and a little bit for the NFL as well. So, I mean, I'll start off with the Rams, and I think, we can call this, New Year's resolutions, New Year's wish list, whatever you want. But I think one of the main things is going to be, I really, hope we really bolster up that secondary in the draft. Or, if we go for someone in free agency, someone a little more well-known, that wouldn't be opposed to that either. But, I mean, I think it's going to be key. We finally have a first-round pick, and it's not going to be as high anymore because, I mean, obviously we're trending a little lower and lower since we're, getting near the playoffs, and maybe probably will be even lower if we actually, make the playoffs and make a run. But I definitely think, I forget their names, but there's 2 really solid corners in the from Alabama that obviously we'll get to see a lot tomorrow in the Rose Bowl. But I really do. Maybe we can trade up if we're too low in the draft, but I would definitely love to snag one of them. I believe it's Terrion Arnold or Kool-Aid McKinstry. So one of those guys would be best for us. And I guess don't ignore the O-line. I still do. I mean, the O-line has definitely improved, but I really do think they should. I mean, for the future, maybe start building up just a little bit.
Yeah, obviously some pretty good resolutions for the Rams there. Obviously, with the trajectory of them for the playoffs, it's always nice, bolstered over a bit. As for my Cowboys, especially since my Cowboys have already clinched a playoff berth, I guess one here for come playoff time. I think just the first thing that I would like for my team is obviously consistency. This is the one thing. This is one constant that the Cowboys deal with every single year. They're always inconsistent in some matter. It's either when it comes to play calling, some players, or even injuries. With injuries, it can be it's also a constant, but the other injuries, that's another thing that I really, really don't like about them. So I would really like consistency, play calling on both sides. I mean, last night's game against the Lions really showed a lot, which I will get into in the in the recap, but just really consistency, really just on both sides of the ball. Dan Quinn and McCarthy specifically, I really need their best play calling come playoff time, because if the worst case matters when we don't get the division, we must prepare to be Road Warriors and obviously face Baker and that steamrolling Tampa Bay Bucks team, which is very, very different from last year. And then another thing too is figure out a way to bolster that run game. I mean, like I said, even yesterday's last night's game against the Lions, that run game was very, very vulnerable. I really had a little bit more pressure on Dak. Obviously, he got rid of it. But again, get more into that in the recap. But Tony Pollard, obviously, it's looking like honestly, I'm not gonna hold him too much. He's coming off that injury. It's a really big injury, but I wouldn't really make too many in regards of him not being able to be a run back one. But from the looks of it, he really can't carry the load if there is no power back, because that's really what Zeke was, and that's really the main reason why Tony Pollard succeeded, because he was at the 2 spot. Defense is worried about Zeke too much. Tony Pollard literally just comes in and just runs right through him. That's the thing I need. Bolster up that run game. A lot of free agents coming up. I would love to see Cowboys. I would really love to see Jerry Jones try and at least go for Derrick Henry again for round 2, or DeAndre Swift's going to be a free agent as well, I believe so. So, I would love to see DeAndre Swift in that Cowboys uniform, but with the way Philly is, he'll probably stay. But that's really 2 things I really want the Cowboys to do, specifically come playoff time.
I mean, you saying you want an Eagles player in a Cowboys uniform, definitely not something I was expecting to hear. But I mean, obviously, DeAndre Swift is a very talented back end. I mean, as for Pollard, hey, I get it's streaky, but I mean, he had a respectable game yesterday. So I mean, if he can build on that, hey, for the playoffs, there's definitely a lot to build off there. And I can see one more thing before. I did say maybe a little bit we can talk about the NFL as a whole. I think 2 big resolutions for them. I mean, one, let's fix the officiating. I mean, I'm not gonna hold you too much to it. I'll probably really get into it more on the next video, but there was some stuff to talk about with the officiating there, and as a whole, this year as a whole, it's definitely become a problem. And schedule makers, let's get some actual good primetime games. We know very well what we've gotten used to with Thursday night, and I mean even Monday night for that matter. There have definitely been some of the games of all time. But of course, that is going to wrap us up for the week 17 Sunday chat. Hopefully you guys can watch this video, enjoy some football on Sunday. 2 weeks left to go before the playoffs. Hopefully your team's still in it. Hopefully you get to enjoy some meaningful football today. And of course tonight, hopefully you guys enjoy. Have a happy new year. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.